You ever make a whole video and then realize you forgot to hit the record button? I would never do that, except for like 5 minutes ago. That's exactly what I did. Anyhow, I wanted to kind of share a little bit about why I'm a teacher. And interestingly enough, I never thought I would be one. Like it wasn't even on my radar. My very first hero that I remember was Neil Armstrong when I was a little kid. I know that's weird, especially for a girl growing up in the early 70s, but that was my thing. And I probably was 9 years old. We had this Time Life series of different things, and one of them was the planets, and it had, like a book on every planet. And I remember having memorized, like I knew all the planets in the solar system. I knew how far they were from the sun. I knew like weird little facts about them as a little kid. That was really weird. And I think I remember in fifth grade, I got glasses, and I read somewhere that if you have glasses, you can't be a pilot. If you can't be a pilot, you can't be an astronaut. Like, I don't know if that was true or not, but somehow that got in my head. So I was having to rethink my career choices at the age of like, I don't know, 10 or 11, however old you are in fifth grade. And so I loved animals. And I thought, well, I'll be a veterinarian because I love animals. I don't really love eyeballs, but as long as I don't have to work on eyeballs, I'm good. I've delivered baby goats and I watched my dog get spayed. Like none of that stuff freaks me out except for eyeballs. Anyhow, I went with that all the way, pretty much all the way up through like my junior year. I was going to be a veterinarian. And then I thought, I don't want to do 9 years of school. That's a lot of college. I've been in school for like 11 years already. I love school. I was always, did really well. But 9 years is a long time to go to college. So I was rethinking that. And I was really good at like language arts. That was my thing, English and all that, math, not so much, but I loved language arts. And so I thought, well, I'll go to college as an English major because that's what you do. I didn't like know what I was going to do with it. I thought maybe I'll be a tech writer because my senior year, we got computers in our school and I was the only girl in the class of guys. And we were learning how to program these Apple IIe's. And the teacher was like half a step ahead of us. He was great. I'm still friends with him today. Um, Anyhow, so I went to college and I came back. I went for a year and I couldn't finish. And so I came back and I got a part-time job actually at the local school district. And I worked in special ed. I was a teacher's aide in a special ed class for about a school year. And then I got transferred over to the high school and I was an aide for the English department, which was like right up my alley with the high schoolers. And still didn't think about being a teacher. So I went back to college, took the scenic route. It took me 9 years to get my degree anyhow. So I could have been a vet, but whatever. I loved going to college. Graduated with a degree in linguistics, a minor in English. No idea what I was going to do with it, but I totally loved it. And by that point, I had 2 kids. And so I was looking for a way to make a little money and I could substitute teach. So I got my sub credential, which I still hold to this day. Well, I have to renew it, but I can get it renewed. And did that for like 3 years. And subbing is rough. The only good part is you don't have to take a job. Like if you don't feel like going in, you don't have to go in. But subbing's a little rough. My very first day was I think it was an 8th grade class in kind of this rundown area. And it was towards the beginning of the school year. And the teacher said, have them write an essay on what they did for their summer vacation. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. It was an English class. And kids are writing about being gangbangers and just all like stuff. And some of these kids were way bigger than I am. I'm like 5'4", right? Some of these kids were really big. So I was pretty freaked out. I wasn't sure, like, I'm like, this is not really, I'm not cut out for this. But the next couple of days, I had a cute little 2nd grade class somewhere else. And, 2nd graders are pretty sweet. So I kept doing that for a couple of years. And then I never thought about like doing this full time. This was just a way to make some money. So my 3rd daughter was born about 6 years after my 2nd daughter, a couple of years after I graduated college. And I was on maternity leave and I went to, my job turned into a full-time job and I didn't want to do that with a new baby. So I started looking in the want ads and I saw the local community college was running an ad for someone to teach a class called Introduction to the Internet. And I thought, since like 1996, I've got AOL, I've emailed a few things. I can figure, I have my own computer. That was pretty good. I could figure this out. So I applied. How hard could it be? So I went in for the interview. I did all this stuff. Because this was a vocational position, all I had to have was a bachelor's degree and 2 years of experience. So I took a year where I was helping family history library. I was teaching people how to use the computers and how to find their ancestors and stuff. And then I had that year working as a desktop publisher. So a volunteer year and a paid year, and that added up. They took all that. So pretty much on the spot, they hired me. I don't know if they were desperate or if nobody else applied. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, or if I was really like they liked me or whatever. Anyhow, I do remember the department chair interviewing me and walking me to HR to fill out the paperwork. That was in November. Class started in January of 1997. And so I'm prepping and I'm doing all this stuff because I've never really like taught before. And I had a course outline, and they were having me teach 3 sections of this 1-unit class, but in 3 different formats. Like, one was every Friday for 8 weeks. One was, I want to say it was Saturday for twice as long for 4 weeks. And then one was like a Tuesday, Thursday night, and it was 3 different formats. So you know how prep goes on that, right? But I have to tell you, from the very first day that I stepped in that classroom as the teacher, I mean, it was almost like the heavens opened up and the angels started singing. Like, I knew that I had found my calling. I knew that this is where I belonged. I have to tell you that for 24 years, almost 25 years, I still have that feeling. Every time I walk into a class to teach, no matter how bad the day is, no matter what's going on, no matter, it doesn't matter. When I get in with students, it's like an out-of-body experience, and amazing things happen. It's the most fun and the most work, ever. And the funny thing is, I never thought I'd be a teacher. So Steve Jobs, in a like a Stanford commencement speech, I can't remember exactly, I think it was Stanford, said some statement about this thing, like, you can never connect the dots looking forward. Like, you don't actually have any idea where you're going to end up, right? You have some ideas where you'd like to go, but you can always connect the dots looking backwards. And so when I connect the dots looking backwards to how I became a teacher, even though all the way up, I never thought I would be. Like, I never crossed my mind, like, you'll actually be a teacher. But looking back, as a young kid, I would set up my stuffed animals and play school, and I was the teacher. And I would organize, like, as a 3rd, 4th, 5th grader, I would organize all the neighborhood kids, because we lived in Burbank, in a bigger city. And I would organize the neighbor kids to play school. And I was always the teacher. Even from early elementary school, in school, I would, teachers would set kids by me that needed extra help so I could help them. We had one time, I think it was in 3rd grade, a kid from Saudi Arabia came, no English, and the teacher sat him by me so we could talk and I could help him. And I would get sent to the younger grades to help out. Never thought I was going to be a teacher. When I remember when we moved up into the country, up into the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains, in a really small town that makes Murphy look like a metropolis. We still don't have any stoplights in my town, my hometown. And I joined 4-H. I loved it. Took that science, to kind of, because I had this vet idea, took a lot of leadership classes, backpacking, all kinds of stuff. And eventually in 7th and 8th grade, you can become what's called a junior leader, where you help the leader. And then when you're in high school, you can become a teen leader, where basically you run a project and you have a leader that kind of supervises you, but it's your project, you run it. And I led lots of workshops and taught lots of things. And then when when I was all done with high school and I moved on and my older 2 kids joined 4-H, I became a project leader, taught dog care and training, taught leadership, taught lots of different things. And then I became a community club leader, right? So I'm all teaching all the way along here. At my church, I would teach workshops, usually on technology, because like I was the techie person. So I would teach like how to do things, how to do different things, or whatever. I was not the one who taught how to like do knitting or sewing or quilting. That was not my thing. But I was always teaching and always helping and always tutoring, and still never thought I would be a teacher. Looking back, it's one of those no duh moments, right? I've always been a teacher. And I stepped into that classroom for the first time. And like I said, it has not changed in over 24 years. It still lights my fire. And the very best part for me is helping students go from what they know to what they want to know, and lighting that fire so that they're curious and they say, I wonder what that means. And then being the capable peer that helps them bridge that gap. Like we want to throw a pedagogy term in there or a theory term. That's the ZPD, the zone of proximal development. Thanks, Vygotsky. Anyhow, that space is where the learning happens. And it's all about that process. It doesn't matter if they can crank out, on the test or whatever. That's the end result. And that's more a function of, are they the test taker than did they learn something? Where the learning happens is in that process. And it's so exciting to be a part of that. And, no matter what subject you teach, I firmly believe this, no matter what subject you teach or what grade level you teach, most of what you do is psychology. Because learning is scary and learning is a risk. You take a risk because nobody wants to look dumb, right? And so your job as the teacher is to help build confidence, help build curiosity, help build wonder, and to help build trust so that they'll let you take them to places they never thought they could go. And if you can build that trust, they'll go anywhere. And things will open up that they never, they don't even know what they don't know, right? It's like opening up worlds or pulling back the curtain and seeing the wizard. And it's just a magical experience to just see, like you can see them learn. And that's fantastic. It's what keeps me going through all the hard stuff. Like I hate grading. I hate grading. Like I don't even know anybody that likes grading, but the process is what lights my fire, and it's done that for decades now. So I connected the dots backwards, but 30 years ago, looking forward, I would have had no idea. That's why I'm a teacher.